Welcome back to Party Trick Astrology. I'm Nina.
I'm Shaina.
And this is Libra Rising / Ascendant.
What should we do with this one?
Oh, sound effect wise?
Yeah. Cameras.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
We have to pose.
Okay. Boys are also Libra Risings too.
They still do that.
The duck lips.
Libra Risings are fun to spot.
Yes!
Because your first impression of them is always very positive, I find. What do you think?
It's hit or miss for me because it's squares.
Yeah, see, I always find I think that Libra Risings just give off an air of just it's almost like comforting and familiarity and just warm and friendliness. Mm-hmm. So
it's also very nice that Libra Rising is person oriented, partnership oriented, and for people with 7th house stelliums like us, that's what we like.
It actually, no, you're right, it does depend. A part of me really likes it, but then a part of me, it can be ugh.
So let's go into the basics about Libra. Libra is Venus, it's the scales, so it's very diplomatic and peaceful, and when it comes to your rising, how you want to portray yourself, that's very much how it is. You want to present the very best, very cleanest, prettiest, most positive version of yourself. And that's
most likable version of yourself.
Yes, most likable, most peaceful. You're not going to necessarily speak out directly about opinions that are controversial, at least not right off the bat.
No, this is all off the bat. That's upsetting the balance, that's upsetting the harmony, and not only that, Libra Risings almost have a need to be liked by everybody. And it is, rising can be a subconscious need, you don't try to do that, but you just you don't want to cause any balance, and you want to appear friendly, and you want to be friends with everyone. Usually, Libra Risings will definitely have a good in everyone syndrome.
Yes.
Where
yes.
it's
annoying.
If you say something negative about somebody, they're definitely gonna even if they do, they'll still cover it up with, but they're still a good person, or what would they do this, or because they want the world to be this beautiful, pretty, positive, Venusian scale, balanced, fair place. And even if somebody...
they want to come across as that epitome. It's very...
Fake?
No,
it can be fake,
though. It can be, yeah.
Because they will cover up their true opinions of somebody. And that's why, you saw in the sketch, the classic Libra Rising thing is, fuck them, oh my god, I love you, because they don't want to start a fight, and they have such an inner desire to be loved by almost everybody. They can be a kiss up, or even if they genuinely like somebody, and it is, even talking behind somebody's back, they still I really like them. They even put it on even more, I find. And even if it is genuine, it can sometimes be, to a Cancer rising, too much.
Trying to balance. It's overcompensating, because they
can overcompensate.
They feel this way about a person, they can feel negative things about people, but then they really feel the need to balance out. And then sometimes I find that they get on a tangent or something. They'll get on a spree of oh, I really don't like this person, and then they try to balance it out, but if you try and get on board, they're no, don't say that.
Yeah, it's weird. Their shit talking is very specific in a sense of Libra definitely is a shit talker.
Yeah,
behind somebody's back.
Libra is
but at the same time, it's passive aggressive, but at the same time they're well, maybe we shit talk them, but then we still need to balance it out, and they're still a good person, they're still this and this and this. I guess you can just basically say Libra Rising can come across very basic bitch, because it is all about fitting in. Libra is all about going with the flow and the balance, so they don't wear very extravagant things, but at the same time, they love material items and that kind of thing. So they're going to be very well dressed, but
very put together,
very clean. I think a typical male Libra Rising is nicely fit skinny jeans and a button up, or just something that you obviously bought at men's Urban Outfitters. Like we I used to work there, and like we sell these like printed button-ups, and I'm like, this is the ultimate Libra rising male shirt. It's like clean and sophisticated, but it's like
casual, not breaking the mold at all.
No, but it's like still kind of like pretty boy.
Yeah.
Like Libra rising males are very pretty boy. And they always have really nice hair that's like the pretty boy hair, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Libra rising girls, like they really like dressing up, and even if like we have a friend that's like an Aries moon Libra rising, Aries don't really know how to dress themselves, you know what I mean? And like I love her style so much, like I think it's so much fun, but she kind of has that combination of just that kind of like random, like
also,
what's going on with my Aries moon, but then like she still wants to look nice
and it's
together. Yeah. So it's such an interesting style, I think.
But there's the most important thing is the care about the appearance.
Yes.
Less about like how you really look and how you come across, because there's other things, like if you're a Scorpio moon, you might wear black and look put together.
Yeah, but it's still not going to be like, if you're, you know, maybe let's say you're a Libra rising, you have all this Scorpio energy and you really like black and dark things. You're still not probably going to be one of like a goth that's like crazy and like crazy makeup and all this stuff. You're still going to be like accepted into society goth. Like it's interesting.
If you dye your hair purple, it's going to be a really dark, almost black purple.
Yeah,
you know?
Like they'll still do something different maybe, but it's still going to be within the status quo for the most part. I don't know. I can just find that they think things are like clothing is extravagant when it's not.
That's so true.
And I will be like, oh, like this isn't that weird, but they're like, that's just crazy. Oh my god, you're so different or something.
Because the easiest way to make a Libra feel uncomfortable is to make them feel like they don't fit in. Is to make them feel like they're out of place, and to make them feel isolated, like cut off from people. If they don't feel like they're included, that's what's going to make a Libra rising feel uncomfortable.
And I think Libra rising is one of the most, well, I mean, all risings are kind of put on. Like I can feel myself subconsciously putting on my Cancer rising.
For sure.
But Libra rising is the most obvious switch, I think, of all the risings, because even if they don't want to be around people, they have to pretend that they do when they are. And it can be exhausting for some of them if they're around people for so long. Like, they can't just sit down and not talk and not converse. If somebody comes over, they will converse with them, and they have great conversations, and they're so good at that back and forth.
They're really not initiators.
No, but
really
people will come to them because
Yes.
they seem so warm and inviting and friendly. They're not intimidating at all. They're super, like, you'll never be really, unless they have something else in their first house, you're never gonna think that Libra rising is rude or that they were mean to you, or you're never gonna feel victimized, you know, immediately. Where some risings you're like, I don't know, I feel weird approaching them. Or you're gonna be like, they're nice to approach. Like, they're always good to have conversations with.
They're gonna like give you compliments. Like the first time you meet them, they're gonna be like, oh, I love your shoes, I love your pants.
And I think in their head it's because it's a good conversation initiator, and they know they like compliments, and then they're all about like that Venusian thing, so that's what they're gonna see, and they're gonna be like, oh, I like this, you know what I mean?
But when it comes
and they kind of also just like everything in a way.
Yeah, well, they'll like whatever you say you like, honestly.
Yeah.
They will. They're kind of that way. And it's not even that they're like, oh, you love Star Wars? I love Star Wars, and they've never seen Star Wars in their life. They just like kind of see any similarity that they can have with you, and they bump it up a few notches maybe.
Yeah. Because Libra rising can have a almost neutrality to it when something isn't disturbed.
It's balanced.
Yeah. So when something's disturbed, like, oh, I kind of like this, or like, oh, then I really like this, or oh, I don't like this, oh, I really don't like this. You know, because they're kind of just floating on the surface, not one way, until it's triggered by something.
Another thing I have to say is that Libra risings have sparkly eyes and freckles.
Oh, yeah.
Like 9 out of 10 times.
They can have very symmetrical faces.
Yeah. Aries is so much to like headstrong, go, do the first move. But like my roommate is a Libra rising, and I'll notice that if we're in social situations, if we're at a party, and I'm definitely not an initiator by any means either, but I'll notice that like we'll be like hanging out and I'll be like, oh, there's a group of people over there, and then since I'm not an initiator, I'm like, I'm gonna let her initiate it, and then I'm like, she's not gonna initiate it ever.
Yeah.
So like in a situation with me, an intercepted Mars in Libra, and a Libra rising, I'm the initiator, which is, I find strange.
Yeah, I think also because a Libra rising will never have to learn how to initiate things.
Yeah, that's true.
Because people will just kind of come to them. I feel like a Libra rising is the kind of person that people will fall in love at first sight a lot, or fall in love at first sight a lot. Like, or maybe not fall in love, but be infatuated with. Because they just see the beauty in them immediately.
Yeah.
Like if the first thing that you display is beauty and kindness and acceptance, you're like, a lot of people are going to be just drawn to that. Yeah. So in a lot of ways, it is a very good rising.
Libra's 7th house is in Aries, and this is definitely where I see like that's the difficulty. Yeah. Not only are you attracted to Aries, no, I'm just kidding. The thing about Aries is that it truly represents identity, and it represents all the first house things. So to look for that in someone else, I notice that people can search for their identity in someone else. Search for, like, even as simple of a thing as like, oh, you like Star Wars, I like Star Wars, or like you like polka dots, I like polka dots. You don't really know how to have a personality until someone else shows you what is okay or what are they like. It's like, it's almost like you can have a different personality with every person that you come across.
It's like Geminis are considered to be like the two-faced rising, and they kind of put on the face, but I think Libra rising is a lot more subconscious than a Gemini does it, because they can just so easily take on the energies. Also, Libra risings are very prone to bouncing from guy to guy, from relationship to relationship. They can be dependent on people for their identity, not like for their daily life or anything like that. They're not like that kind of dependent where you think, but they're very like socially dependent. Yeah. I definitely think that they're the number one kind of people who cannot go to the bathroom alone. That's just not a thing.
And it's not necessarily relationship-wise. It could be best friend-wise.
Yeah, exactly.
A romantic relationship that if you're not in one for an extended period of time, it can be a bigger deal to you than other people or other risings.
Yeah, and it's just because your 7th house is in Aries, so you kind of maybe feel like you have a loss of identity for a while.
The Libra rising needs that kind of reaffirmation, and not only in like relationships, but in the way that other people treat them, or really just in themselves. I think a very huge difficulty of being a Libra rising is depending on other people, depending on an outside source of affirmation.
We found that Aries in the 7th house is very true with the Libra risings that we know.
It's pretty scary.
How accurate it is. And I think they're just looking for an initiator too. Because somebody with a lot of Aries is going to initiate the conversation, and then Libra can do the follow through.
Right.
And
I find it especially in, I guess we know more Libra rising females. Libra is the epitome of Venus, of femininity, and Aries is ruled by Mars, masculinity. So you see like it's like a Libra ascendant woman looking for an Aries male or an Aries rising or Aries moon male. It's very much the like classic Elle Woods and her frat boy relationship.
It's very literal.
Yes.
And it's a female. It's like they're looking for the typical boy to the girl. Yeah. You know what I mean? And when it comes to like if a male is looking for a female or whatever it is, you have a lot of that feminine energy, so you're looking for maybe a more headstrong female.
Yeah. Or even like aggressive.
I think Libra rising can definitely be the victim of an abusive relationship because of this, especially because they don't want to, they're looking for that Aries person who's like so Mars activated, and they're somebody who doesn't want to upset a balance. They're looking for a relationship. They can be kind of idealistic, and so they can get stuck in a situation that they don't want to be in because it's harder for them to speak out against it, or it's just harder for them to break that want, I guess, of that relationship or that perfect thing.
Another thing is with a male looking for a female in terms of Libra rising with Aries, looking for Aries qualities. So Libra, we said, is kind of like the basic bitch, but so is Aries.
Yeah. In the opposite way.
In the opposite way. And you're looking for even like very primal energy. You might just be attracted to sex appeal, to like, oh, this blonde girl with long legs and big boobs who can like drink straight out of a whiskey handle. Like, I feel like that's the Libra rising looking for a female.
It's an air rising, so they can definitely talk about anything with anybody. And even if they don't like somebody or they just don't really get along, for some reason they can still manage to have a great conversation with them. Like, they find one thing that's kind of similar and they could talk about it for hours. Or, you know, they don't like this person, but when they're around them, they can still somehow manage to get along with them.
That's another thing that can make you prone to being in abusive relationships, because it's a see the good in everyone kind of placement.
And I think it's not only see the good in everyone, but see the good in the world too, which is why I think it like sextiles at Sagittarius energy. I think that they can have a very idealistic view of not only people, but the world. Not saying that, like, I mean, depending on the left side, maybe it can ground them in reality. I'm not saying like all Libra risings are like this. They're treated with such open arms that they think kind of like a lot of people are, and that they don't want to see the ugly in the world. They just want to see the Venusian energy in the world.
The Libra energy is much more about seeing the best in everything and sweeping the worst out under the rug.
This is absolutely awful. But when I think of like a typical like male Libra rising, I think of like the pretty boy in the frat who rapes a girl and gets away with it because everybody's like, he seems so nice and kind, he would never do that. Like, that is like, obviously I'm not saying that that's who you are, but that could be a very bad view of it. So you just have to look to the left side, basically, and like, don't judge a book by its cover. It's just their Libra. It's just their rising.
And the thing is, like, some people will fall in love with a Libra rising and be like, I'm in love with you, I'm in love with you. Then the Libra rising's like, you don't even know me.
Yeah, no, it's very true.
I don't even know myself. You don't even know me.
Like, how can you be in love with me? And they're like, but the Venus in you. Because they can come across very superficial.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they all are. And so that's what we say in every video. You gotta look past the rising, man.
And the Libra rising needs to be willing to show you past their rising.
Yes.
Because past their rising isn't always that lovely balanced.
Three of our closest friends are Libra rising, so we obviously love them dearly. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your time as a person on this planet.
Everything's great. Right?
Net neutrality. Anyways, bye.
Bye.